Okay, let me go on to talk about statutory periodic tenancies and council tax. Let me just have a quick drink of water first. So, many landlords are not aware of this, and luckily many tenants are not aware of it as well. And it's not unusual for landlords to let their tenancies run on from the assured short hold period and onto a statutory periodic tenancy. Many landlords do it, and I've done it in the past, and I will do it in the future, I'm sure. Well, with one exception, which I'll come to. The reason this is important is that when you go onto a statutory periodic tenancy, actually, you as the landlord are potentially liable to pay the council tax. Now that is a bit of a shock for most landlords, because we assume that when a tenant is renting a property, they have the responsibility for paying the council tax. Now, the legal basis for this comes from two cases. There was a case called Superstrike v. Rodriguez in 2013, and it wasn't about council tax, that case, but what it did is it established that when there's a statutory periodic tenancy, what actually happens is that at the end of the assured, let's say you've got a 12-month assured hold tenancy, you have a 12-month tenancy, and then when you come to the end of that and enter the next month, this legal case decided that you don't enter a 13th month of the tenancy, you create a new tenancy at the beginning of that month. So every month on a statutory periodic tenancy, you're creating a new 1-month tenancy. Okay? So anyway, that was the finding, among other things, of that particular case. Now, a few years later, Leeds Council brought a case against Broadley, who was a landlord of 3 properties in the Leeds area. And a tenant had left a property before the end of their tenancy agreement. So, you know, as far as the landlord was concerned, the tenant still had a liability to pay the council tax. But Leeds Council, because it passed on to a statutory periodic tenancy, Leeds Council argued that actually the landlord was responsible for the council tax when the tenant left early, and they pursued the council tax debt with the landlord. And this is because council tax is a landlord's responsibility on tenancies that are less than 6 months in duration. So going back to that case, Superstrike versus Rodriguez, that said that when you get on statutory periodic tenancy, you create a new 1-month tenancy every month. So actually, each one of those new months of tenancy, in principle, the landlord is responsible for paying the council tax on them, because it's just a 1-month tenancy each time. So the solution to this is very easy, and that is that there's a clause in your tenancy agreement which, rather than creating a statutory periodic tenancy at the end of the short hold period, you create a contractual periodic tenancy. And with a contractual periodic tenancy, the new month is added onto the existing tenancy. So at the end of the 12th month, you extend the contract, so it's now a 13-month tenancy. At the end of the 13th month, you extend it, so it's a 14-month tenancy. So you avoid the tenancy ever being less than 6 months. So it's easy. We've got language in all of our ASTs which make sure this is the case and make sure we'll never get caught out with this. But not many landlords know about this, and luckily not many tenants know about it, because in principle they could, whenever they go onto a statutory periodic tenancy, they could now go back to the council and say, sorry, but it's an SPT now. We're not liable for the tenancy. It's less than 6 months. Go and get the council tax from the landlord. So that's not a situation that you want to be in. So yeah, do make sure that your tenancy agreements create contractual periodic tenancies instead of statutory periodic tenancies, because you could get caught out by this and be liable for the council tax.